Figure it out. From seeking external approval to embracing self-validation. Hello, I am Elizabeth, Dr. E. Carter. Welcome. What was the last awkward conversation you had with a parent? Mine was with my father. I affectionately called him Daddy. We would talk once a week, minimally, over the phone. And because he learned how to use Skype during COVID, we sometimes FaceTime. Now, we would start every conversation with a deep philosophical discussion about sex in the 70s. And I don't mean the 1970s. I mean the decade of age. I don't know what was more awkward. Him telling me how life doesn't begin until age 70, or me having to hear him describe the finer side of senior dating. As I listened to him talk, he had more enthusiasm about this part of his life than he ever did towards me when I was growing up. As a matter of fact, as I thought about my own life, I was hoping I wouldn't wait to be 70 to start living my life. But this same person pretty much ran my life for the first 50. Because these 3 words stuck in my mind every single day. Figure it out. Whenever I had a problem and I would tell him what's going on, what was bothering me, he always had this answer. Figure it out. But someone told you to figure it out or make it work. So you know what I mean? For me, I had been trying to figure out how to have this person say, good job, give me a pat on the back, I'm proud of you. I was looking for that approval and validation from a person who I looked up to, who I idolized my entire life. In grade school, I joined various activities. I was in the band, music program. I was a Girl Scout. Anything that was out there, I did it because I was trying to find something for him to say, good job, and that he was proud of me. It wasn't just childhood. It was even into adulthood. Even the men I brought home were subject to his scrutiny. Now, I know fathers are protective of their daughters, but he made 2 guys cry. That's how impactful he was in my life. And it was my destiny to figure out how to figure him out. And there were various ways that I thought I would gain his approval. But what I learned later on was that they were all teaching moments. He was educating, and he didn't even know it. Let me share with you a few stories. When I was deciding on what college to attend, I had got accepted into colleges near home and colleges away from home. My dad said to me, if you go to a local school, I'll get you a car. What? A car? I grew up in Long Island, New York. We were middle class. Nobody had a car. Only people that had a car were those kids who had their parents' hand-me-downs or their older siblings' hand-me-downs. I was the oldest, so I had no sibling hand-me-down. I'm thinking I'm going to get my dad's car. He had a beautiful Dodge Charger. It was maybe 3 years old. It was kid free. We couldn't eat in it. We couldn't get in it. We couldn't even look at it. That's how protective he was of this car. I was excited, but had a decision to make. Do I go away to school, get some freedom, remove myself from the dramas of the neighborhood, get away from that old boyfriend that would still ride by my house and he didn't even live in the neighborhood? Or I could keep my activities, keep my part time job. And did I say I would get a car? Ooh. Now, sometimes when it sounds too good to be true, it is. But I'm thinking I'm doing my parents a favor. If I go local, I'm saving them money on tuition, room and board, food, extra, etc. I'm able to stay home, work my part-time job, have money in my pocket, keep doing what I'm doing, like a win-win. But there were some risks behind it. It's the day when I'm to get my car. Now we know those familiar sounds in the neighborhood. We know that rumble of the garbage truck when it comes through once a week. We know that siren of the fire engine when it rolls by. We even know that gentle tinkle of the Mr. Softy ice cream truck. And I knew the sound of that charger. The motor was quiet. I could hear the tires slowly rolling over the cracks in the driveway. My dad was always playing the oldies on the radio. That's what I'm waiting to hear on this day. But instead, I hear this sound. These hard tires rolling up the driveway to the garage. I could hear the key turn the car off. And then 3 seconds later, the engine shuts off. I'm like, what is this? I run to the door, and this, or something very close to looking like this, is in my driveway. It was not a hand-me-down. It was a hand-me-down of a hand-me-down. I said, Daddy, what happened to the Charger? He says to me, I told you I was going to get you a car, not my car. Oh my goodness. This was taking a risk gone wrong. And by the way, this car died a year later. I'm going to a 4-year university. I had to figure out how to get to school, how to get to my part-time job, how to get to my other curricular activities. And I still hadn't figured out how to win my dad's approval. And this continued on. I struggled through my undergraduate years. My desire was to become a lawyer because that would have pleased my dad and would have provided a sense of financial independence. But it just wasn't in the cards for me. I didn't have the grades. I didn't have the mindset. I even took the law school admission test, just hoping that I'd have some type of outer body experience that would allow me to pass the test. Didn't happen. So now I'm having to figure out my career. What was I good at? And it was years and years and years. I would find a job, do it for a little while, I don't like it, quit, find something else, do that for a while. Wasn't really thrilled by that either, quit. And I finally found my way into the insurance industry in the finance department. I was always good at math. I was so excited that I had found a career that I could thrive in, and I did. I even was so brave to go back to school for my MBA and then a second master's degree in education because I found my passion also in training and development. But I still hadn't gotten that validation from my dad. I'm then working on my dissertation for my PhD. Now, they say, don't ask a question that you don't want the answer to. But this endeavor was personal, but also part of looking for validation. I asked my dad for assistance. I say, Dad, I would love for you to read a draft of my dissertation, and I'd love your feedback. He says to me, well, do you want Mr. Carter to read it or a normal guy? Thanks for the choice. Because Mr. Carter is what I would call a linguistics snob. He had degrees in classical languages and education administration. He would correct an email that wasn't even sent to him. Now, I don't want that guy. I want the normal guy. He looks casual. See his, shirts kind of come out of his pants. I forget where we were in this picture, but it was a relaxing day. That guy, the normal guy, the guy who may provide some grace, who may even let a few errors go by. He may even be kind. That's the guy I want because this was tough. Writing was not my forte. Had it been, maybe I would have gotten to law school. I was well beyond my comfort zone in this dissertation process. What I would have loved to have had was a little empathy. Did I get it? Nope. What I got was red marks everywhere. He didn't like my grammar. He didn't like my sentence structure. He didn't even like the font I used. My pages look like this, like a kindergartner had a red magic marker just marking up papers on the walls. I had it. It had been decades at this point in time. I was 49 years old. I was devastated. I broke down into tears, and I had not ever cried in front of him. I said, Daddy, how come you never praised me? You never said, good job, or I'm proud of you. And he looked at me emotionless. And he proceeds to tell me that growing up, it was just him and his mother. And she never praised him. I was shocked. A man so accomplished, so confident, but never had praise in his life. That was why. And I love this scripture that says, for there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known. He wouldn't know how to give praise if he had never received it. He didn't know what that was or what it looked like. And that was the turning point for me. The fact that he was never going to be able to give me what I wanted. But ultimately, I did not need that. When we think about validation in our life, often we are looking for this silver, these diamonds, these gems that are not even for us. We've been looking in the wrong place. Everything we need is right here inside of us. We don't need those shiny objects. And I know for me, I was at fault because I never told him how I was feeling. We need to speak up. People are not mind readers. He had no idea because I was just smiling and going along my way because he was my father. But after that conversation, he changed also. He started calling me Dr. Carter even before I finished the program. That was his way of saying, I'm proud of you. I approve. And that was empowering for him to let me know that all of this I had been carrying was for no reason, that I was my own validator, that I actually had found my own way, trying to figure out how to figure him out. I figured out myself. It was so empowering. And once I finished my dissertation, I found my way into authorship. I wasn't a writer before that process, but I became one. I have my own books. I create anthologies. I even published my dad's autobiography for him. We were in a no judgment zone. I went on to speak, and I speak about empowering other women, letting them know what they have and what they bring to the table. I validate them. I know what I didn't get, but I know what others need, which is what I didn't get. So we love to be able to provide others what we know we were missing in ourselves. I've been showcased on magazines, sharing my story about working in the corporate environment as a minority female, especially in finance, where there are very few women who look like me at the table. But it wasn't until I was nearly 50 years old. That's why I didn't want to get to 70 and just start living my life. And I don't want any of you to have to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years either, worrying about what someone else thinks, waiting for someone else to validate what you are and what you're doing. And when I talk to my dad now, and he says, figure it out, he knows that I will. It's more of a suggestion, not a mandate. So I ask all of you, have you figured it out? Have you figured out, are you doing it for yourself or doing it because of or for someone else? As I mentioned, all my life I was figuring it out, but at the same time, there were lessons that were being taught that I didn't realize until later on. And I want to be able to share these with you with my figure framework. And I have a handout for you if you go ahead and scan that QR code or go to my landing page, bit.ly/Dr. E figure. You'll be able to download this worksheet also. And the letters of the word figure are the framework. Let me share them with you. First is F. Face your fears. There were so many times that I had to step out of my comfort zone. I had no choice. The fear of going away to school versus staying home. Either way, there were unknowns and risks. But that's where the growth occurs. Me starting and stopping and finding different jobs That's challenging. Many people stay in their jobs forever and hate it. I had to face my fear that I wasn't happy and to move on to something else. I invest in yourself. And that is the fact that you are your best return on your investment. I knew that I had found my new passion in training and development, and I went ahead and spent the money on the second master's degree and the PhD. And it has opened up so many opportunities for me. Had I not bet on myself, I would have never experienced them. And that allows financial independence. Because if something is not working out in one area, I can do something else. I can be working on multiple projects to be able to have a life that's fulfilling for me. And I want you to be able to have the same for you. G, grow through challenges. Woo-wee. That's about perseverance. I can't even tell you how mad I was about that car. Oh, but I had to get over it. I had to get back up and climb my way to school. I tell you, sometimes I took the bus. I had a bicycle. Sometimes I rode that too. The school was far, but not too far away. But when you do it, you figure out how to make it work. You unleash your confidence. That's when you take the risk. Take the risk. We don't know what's on the other side until we get there. And you know what? If you fail, you figure out what you learned and you do it differently next time. Same as going back to the F about your fears. You have to trust your abilities. You are strong. You are smart. You have strength. You have persevered. You are resilient. You can get through anything. You are still standing here today, and we all have many things we can reflect back on that at the time was horrible. But now we can stand here today and reflect and share with others so that they don't have to figure it out, because you've already been there, done that, have the bruises, and now you want to help someone else get through it. R, resilience is your superpower, y'all. That is your superpower. Absolutely. We are down, but when we bounce back up, boy, there's no telling what's going to happen next. Let me tell you, I bounced back. That dissertation process took me 2 years longer than I wanted, but I wasn't going to quit. There were many days I'm like, why am I doing this? Trust me, I know you've had those days too, where you question, why am I doing this? What am I going to get from it? Keep going. Because your why should always be the loudest and strongest voice in your ear. And E, empower your future. When you understand what your needs are, those bring you all those wants. We all want a title. We all want more money. We all want nice cars. But we need to first start off with our needs. We need to have a job to be able to make more money and get that title. We want to live in a stress-free world or less stress world. We want to be in environments where we are recognized and given our due based on our work efforts. So that is the figure framework. Face your fears, invest in yourself, grow through challenges, unleash your confidence. Resilience is your superpower, and empower your future. So I ask you, what is your next step in figuring it out? And let me give you 3 tips. And again, you can scan the barcode to get the worksheet. With the worksheet from this framework, I have the lesson and a reflection question that will allow you to reflect on your life and think about what is your next. Because I want you to do one or more of these. Take action on one fear. Take a calculated risk. Now, it's not just a risk, it's a calculated risk. So you are actually doing some work to analyze the situation, not just going to jump in, not knowing anything. There's ways in which we frame our analysis to say, all right, here's the risks, what's the probability, and then make a decision. And lastly, plan one financial goal. Maybe it is to save more. Maybe it's to take some money and invest in something for yourself, personal development. Maybe you want to take a look of dabbling in the stock market or real estate, or maybe investing in working with your community, but do something from a financial perspective. And I will share with you from my dad, who passed away in 2023. His words will always be in my mind. And from him to me and you will figure it out. Please reach out to me, Elizabeth Dr. E. Carter, PhD. You can go to my website, which is drelizabethcarter.com, drelizabethcarter.com. Feel free there to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you if you are struggling and trying to figure it out. I can be your guide. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of the conference.